And so he knows some of the teachers who are still here. And Sam has been writing for the last several years. So we thought it might be fun for you to hear about where he gets his ideas and what the process is. And so Sam is going to just give you an inside view of what it's like to write a book.
Presentation first. Hi guys. Like she said, I'm Sam Reynolds. I used to be a student here, and I'm here to talk to you today about my book. So I am 17. I went to Pueblo 6 years ago. My teachers were Miss Siminek, who I know is still here, Miss Pate, who's retired, Miss Albert, who's in Oregon now, and Miss Lyraquist, which I know is still here. Let's see, I attend a charter school in Mesa now called Heritage Academy. I am a junior there. I'll be graduating next year. It's a really good school. They got really good teachers. It's right across from the Mesa Arts Center. It's right downtown, so it's very, very nice. So how the books began. I was 11 when I started writing my books. It was the summer before my 6th grade year, and it's one of those days where you're at your friend's house and you're just doing whatever. Like we were hanging out in the pool, we were eating barbecue chips, and I just decided, you know what, I'm going to write a book. So I had a big obsession with dinosaurs since I was a little boy in 2nd grade. And I decided to base my book ideas on having dinosaurs fit in there somehow. So I did. Writing 2 books at the same time and why it does not work. So I started writing the first book, Dino Hunters Part 1, you see on the table there, before I came to Pueblo. And then I started thinking, you know, maybe I should start working on the 3rd book at the same time so I can get 2 books done at once. Well, that doesn't work. I eventually came to the conclusion that writing 2 books at once is really difficult because you have to balance continuity and how if something happens in the first book, it has to have some sort of effect on the next one. So that was too hard, and I eventually had to trash everything that I'd written on that 3rd book. Pueblo used to have a writing club. I wish I had brought my binder with me. They would encourage students to be creative writers and to write books and stuff like that, and then they would publish it on this really, really nice paper. And you get this little binder, and it was really cool. And I got part of that book published with the however many pages I wrote. And one of the things that I tended to over-focus on was the concept. And by concept, I mean how the characters looked. I would focus on, I had this big, huge binder that I wish I could have run, of different drawings and different ways that the characters could look. They could look maybe with this hairstyle or with this type of jacket or with this weapon or something like that. And I spent much more time on that than I should have, and instead of the actual writing. So if you guys are writers currently yourselves and you're trying to work on books, I would say get the actual writing done first, because that will pay off and you can worry about the concept and everything else that goes into that later. So publishing. I have a friend who went to Pueblo a few years ago. Her name's Lizzie Stewart, and she introduced me to this company called NaNoWriMo. NaNoWriMo is the National Novel Writing Month, and basically they have it every November, and you have to write a book in 30 days, or you have to have 30,000 words. And if you win the contest, or whatever word goal that you beat, if you beat that goal, then you win the contest. And when you win the contest, you have the chance to publish with Amazon's publishing company called CreateSpace. So I used that opportunity to publish my book, get it finally done. It had taken me 4 years to get up to this point where I was actually coming down to the wire of finishing it. And after I won the contest, I got to create an account with CreateSpace. Basically how CreateSpace works is you have your book, you upload the document file or whatever that's in, you can create your cover. I created both of those covers in their cover creator program. And then after you ship it, after you say everything's good, you send it to them, and they give it back to you within 24 hours saying whether it's approved or not, and they always usually approve it. It's not that hard. And then within the next day or so, it's up on Amazon.com for the whole world to see. So that's really cool. My completed projects, or novels that I've done so far. My first novel, hold on, was Dino Hunters Part 1. Now you see this cover title is a little bit different than the other ones. I'll explain that in a minute why. This was the first version that I published on December 11th of 2014, and the reason I have 3 different versions of this book is because after I focused on getting this out as quick as I could, I forgot that it had taken me 4 years and there was a lot of mistakes in it. So I went through a editing process, I looked through it a bit, and I came to the second version. Changed the title text a little bit to make it look nicer, and then I realized there's more problems. So I took a black pen and I edited this like crazy to make it sound kind of more to what I was writing at that time. And after that, I came to this final version of the third version of the book, which is now the version you can get online on Amazon. It has little to no mistakes, I hope. And it's the best version of this book that I have, and I'm really proud of it. Now, the second book, Dino Hunters Part 2 Armageddon. My original idea for the first book was to have Dino Hunters just be one big thing, and then I realized that's too many chapters for me to write, so I split it into 2 parts. And instead of taking me 4 years to write the first one, the second one took me 4 months. It was really in cram time to get that one done. This one's about double the size of Part 1, and this book is, in my opinion, a little bit better than that one because I was taking writing classes at school and I was learning how to write a lot better than I used to, and I implemented that into this book, and it sounds really good. Now, my current projects. Coming sometime soon, I had planned to get this book, Deadlock, the third one, out last December to honor the 1-year anniversary of Dino Hunters Part 1. Sadly, that didn't happen because my life got in the way and I got too busy. So I'm hoping to have this book out in the next month or so. This is going to be what the cover basically looks like. That will be the background image. I found it looks very cool with the 5 birds. The 5 birds do mean something. It's kind of symbolistic. And I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a sneak peek of the summary. Although the hunters managed to escape the clutches of Oliver Jensen on Toronto, he still remains a grave threat. Thought to be dead, there is nothing left to stop him from unleashing the final phase of his ultimate plan, making humanity pay the price. Finding themselves on the run, will the team be able to end Jensen's plans before they come to fruition? Or, when faced with the bounty on their heads, will Harrison's actions risk the future of humanity? Just over a year after the first in the series was released, the next chapter of the long-lost Secret series has arrived. Join Harrison and his team as they once again have to fight their way to survive through this epic yet grim journey. Prepare, as all hope seems lost and all hell breaks loose in Deadlock. So my plans in the future as an author. I plan to, within this year, to finish the Long Lost Secret series with 2 more books, Deadlock and Annihilation, which will come later on this year. That's my goal, to get the last 2 books done. I have plans to visit more schools, like in this kind of setting. I've visited the 5th graders over at Pueblo. They were really welcoming and they were really enthusiastic about the books. And I hope that I can go to more schools if they will allow me to come to present. And I hope that using my talents as a creative writer and using the skills that I've acquired over the years to tell a good story, I hope to achieve one of my greatest goals, which is show the world what I'm capable of and how far I will go to make something as best as it can be. And I do that through my stories, my dialogue, and characters. So now it is time for a Q&A. You guys can ask your questions away and I'll answer them. Tell me your name again, I forgot.
This is Mrs. Munn, I am. I had the honor of meeting Christopher Paolini before he put out his first book, Aragon series. And he said, I asked him what was the most important part about getting something accomplished or done at such a young age. And he said, just write. Keep writing. Can you expound on that?
Expound? Yes, I can. So, when I was in my 6th grade years as a little boy, I was really focused on, I like to draw a lot, and I was spending a whole lot more of my time focusing on those character designs rather than the actual story. And I found that if it took me 4 years to write this one, it was because I was really lazy, and I would write for a little while, I'd get like a chapter or two, and then I wouldn't write for like weeks. And then I'd write again, I'd write a little bit more, and then I wouldn't write for a long time again. And that's a terrible process of how to get things done. So my best advice is to write every single day. With this third book, it's been delayed because I haven't written every day. And sometimes it's not up to me, but other times it is, and I just choose not to. But if you really focus on writing and then worrying about other stuff later, it helps a whole lot.
Thanks.
Tell me your name.
Kathy, and were there any doubts or setbacks when you were writing your books?
Yes, there was. I think one of the biggest doubts that every author faces is when they get so close to the end that something in the back of their head tells them to not finish. And that was constantly bugging me in the back of my head. It's like, you're so close to the end, you can't finish this. You're just going to not do this. You're not going to accomplish this goal. And then when I finally did, it felt so great, and I was so happy with myself. And the same process, like it went full circle again with part 2. I got really close to the end, and probably the end of writing a book is so much harder than I think the rest, because it has to wrap up everything so nicely that it's nearly impossible to get it right the first time, if you get what I'm saying. And when I finally got that one done, I had the same happiness of, oh, I got this done, now I can finally take a break. And now with this third one, I'm kind of in that state of, you're getting way too busy, you're never going to get this done. But I'm trying my very hardest to get it done as soon as I can. Tell me your name.
Max.
Max.
How many people have actually bought your books?
Well, I think the first one has sold around 20-ish copies, and the second one has sold about 15. So I'm hoping that with the release of part 3 and advertising these and showing them, that it will kind of boost that. So, tell me your name.
Nicole, and how do you know where to like end your first story and then start another book? Because I'm writing some books too, and I'm like all very confused on where to stop and start the next one.
Good question. When I was first writing Dino Hunters in the beginning, my big plan was I was going to write 3 books actually, and split the story into 3 parts. And then I didn't do that, and I'm like, maybe I'll just write it in one big thing. And I said, oh, I can't do that, that's too much. And one of my strategies of making a book end really nice is it's kind of like how movies do. They kind of leave you on a cliffhanger, and then it just makes you want more. And then I did the same thing with the second one. It leaves you on an even bigger cliffhanger. So if you can find a way to leave it on a cliffhanger, like maybe a character you don't know if they die or not, or if like some big huge secret's about to be revealed, then end it just right there, right in that moment, and then start this next book right where that leaves off, so that the audience will focus on that. One of my ways that I kind of leave it on a cliffhanger is like some really big dramatic thing has happened in the last chapter, and people are like kind of recovering from it, and then the audience is like, oh my gosh, that just happened. And then I would take part of that last chapter to kind of set up what's going to happen, whether that in the next book, whether that be a cliffhanger or like a happy ending kind of deal. Do you guys want me to read the summaries of the first 2 books so you can kind of get a feel?
Sure.
Okay. I will read the summary of the first book first. So Harrison Lumina was just an ordinary teenager living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. He and his 7 friends would soon experience the greatest tragedy of their time, because they would be the ones to save mankind from total annihilation. What seemed as a night at the prom quickly turned to a gory disaster, and what seemed as normal was all thrown away. The city was destroyed, and a man was claimed responsible. He did what no one thought was possible. He bred species that were lost to the ravages of time. He reanimated prehistoric dinosaurs for one purpose: to wreak havoc. Will Harrison and his friends be able to stop them in time? Will the villain be brought to justice or bring the planet down to its knees? Will the government try to sabotage the mission rather than aid our heroes? Will their group known as the Hunters complete the task ahead, or come short and seal humankind's extinction? Discover in this thrilling novel full of intense action, romance, mysteries around every corner, and a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat, begging for more. The truth, the real story, is unveiled in the beginning of this deadly journey, Dino Hunters Part 1. And then Part 2. Part 2. Left in ruins with a member dead and the ships obliterated, the hunters' only objective left is to survive. The island of Torontico is a place of many secrets, and the group discovers these secrets as they try to uncover the mysteries of the island. Oliver Jensen still poses a grave threat to society and the world, greater than ever before. Will they be able to cage the dinosaur threat in time, or will they be forced to take extreme measures and change their objective entirely in order to save the world? Harrison and those who remain will be put to the ultimate test that will either unite them together or sever them permanently. Dive into the highly anticipated sequel to Dino Hunters Part 1 and follow the hunters through the next phase of their perilous, life-threatening journey in Dino Hunters Part 2 Armageddon.
How many more books are you planning on writing?
I'm hoping to write 2 more books to this series to make it kind of come full circle. I'm already planning the ending of this entire series in the last book, which is going to be kind of throw everything out of balance and like, wait, we've had all this cool stuff and this is how it ends. Like kind of one of those things. And then I'm hoping to kind of write a biography of my experience kind of as becoming an author and kind of lessons I've learned through life before I graduate and stuff like that.
So do you feel like you have to read it in sequence?
Yes.
Okay.
Otherwise, stuff. If like you pick up the second one, it's like, oh wait, this just happened. Wait, what? And then you go to the first one. Then everything starts to make sense. It's kind of funny. When I was writing this story, and I was in 6th grade, my first, I guess, inkling to do was put the characters in 6th or 7th grade, which I was in at the time. And then I said, no, I'm going to put them in high school. And I didn't know a thing about high school. So when you start reading the first one and you look at some of these things that's going on in high school, they're pretty ridiculous. And it's kind of funny to see what I thought at the time. And it's like, well, this is kind of wrong.
So are you saying write about what you know?
Yes. Don't write about what you don't know, because then everyone is confused.
When you first devised this, did you have a whole concept of a whole series in your head, or did that kind of evolve as you were writing?
It's kind of a little bit of both. I have the entire idea bleeding into these 2 books, and everything in these books that is in them right now is what I wanted for them. And I know what I want to happen at the end of Deadlock, and I know what I want to happen at the end of the series. It's going to end with a wedding, by the way. And as I go over time, and one of the main things I'm trying to do with this 3rd book, I try to make all my books a little bit different than the first one. This first one was kind of like an introduction. It shows you the characters, it kind of throws you into the situation, you're kind of confused what's going on, but it kind of makes sense. And then go into the second one, it's a little bit darker, it's all about survival, and it's about getting this mission done and not getting killed. And I kind of focused on branching multiple story arcs into the entire story. There was like one main, there was maybe 1 or 2 main arcs and like a sub-arc. But then in this 3rd one, what I'm trying to do is I had a spin-off planned in the series where it's not dinosaurs, but it's dragons. And yeah, dragons are cool. And I wanted to have some sort of spin-off incorporated into the series. So basically what I've done is I took the entire plot of what I wanted for that spin-off book and I put it into this 3rd book. So I have 2 arcs going on. It's the arc with the dragons and the arc with the main story, and they're going on side by side at the same time. And it's really hard to do, but it is manageable. Any other questions? Tell me your name.
Zach.
Zach.
And when you were on your 2nd book, how did you get the idea for the books? I mean, like you said that you used to like dinosaurs. Did you just like kind of make up the story from the first book and kind of go off of it?
I kind of had a plan with the first one. Okay, it's like it's going to go. We're going to be in the city. and then they're gonna go on this island, like kind of like in Jurassic Park. There's like this island full of dinosaurs, and that's how I kind of incorporated that idea into like, okay, they get loose, we got to get them back to where they belong, and then that kind of developed into the second one. Tell me your name.
How'd you get inspired more than just liking dinosaurs when you were young?
I think when I was in 6th grade, I was also really into Harry Potter because that was a big thing back then, and I was really inspired to like, oh, J.K. Rowling's such a great author, like I can be a great author too. And I think also one of the inspiring things is like when you finish actually writing a complete story, and then you're just inspired to write more because there's always something more you can add onto the story, even if you don't feel it at first. Cassie?
Was it hard to, like, when you're writing, like, close to the end, or like in the middle, and you don't want to, like, hurry and spoil it, but you just want to quickly get to the ending, or quickly get to a certain part?
It was difficult. I have to say that the ending of both books were both finished at 3 o'clock in the morning. And like one of the things I do when I write is I have my iPod and I just write in the notes, and I just keep writing and writing, and then I just transfer it to my email and the documents and all that stuff later. And one of those things where you get to the very end and you know how you want to do it, but I spent hours upon hours making sure everything was exactly perfect to where it sets up the next one perfectly and it ends the first one perfectly. So you kind of have to focus on doing both. Tell me your name.
Chandler.
Chandler.
And did you ever like lose confidence in yourself when you were writing these?
I did. One of the things that I shared with the last group was this: you come to a point when you're an author and you're writing a story, and you say you're more than halfway over or you're about to get to the end, and then there's something in the back of your head that says, stop, you can't do it, and you're not going to get this done. And it's something you have to overcome by writing some more, and writing some more, and writing some more. And when I finally finished my first book, I was so thrilled. I was so happy with myself. And then same thing happened with the second one. I was going good. I was getting close to the end. Then that little thing came in the back of my head again saying, you're not going to do this. You can't do this. But you kind of have to go against what's going on in the back of your head and say, no, I can do this, and I am going to finish this. And when you do, you feel so satisfied. You feel like, oh, I did this. I actually proved that I can do this. And you can apply that to if someone says you can't do it, you can't do anything, but you can do literally anything if you just believe in yourself. You in the back?
Had you ever tied in like the emotional lives of the characters or no?
Yes. So I think the second book dives a little bit more into the emotions. The first book, sometimes I'll be writing a chapter and then the next chapter will be a character's backstory, and it'll kind of show how they developed into the person that they are now in the book. And especially in the second one, I was kind of focusing on showing the backstory of the villain and how he got so messed up with losing his wife. And like when you kind of show into that backstory, like backstory, it's free game, whatever you want to do with it. But as long as you can tie it into how it affects the character and why they are the way they are, then backstory, more backstory. Cassie?
Have you ever had a person that's like telling you like you can't do it, like you're just gonna mess it up or something like that?
Yeah, I feel that person was kind of myself, but kind of also my best friend that's been working on this with me. Like he didn't think I could do it, I didn't think I could do it either. But then when we did, it's like, well, I guess you can do it now. And then kind of from that point on, we've just been supporting each other. I'd give him some text and he'd read it and he'd be like, oh, this is really good, or you need to change this. So after overcoming that kind of first big struggle, then everything hasn't been quite so hard.
So do you recommend that you have an editor or a friend that you're sharing it with that's kind of...
I would recommend having an editor. The second book, I had my best friend edit for me because I didn't want to go through that whole process of editing it all myself with a pen again. It took me like 9 days straight of just going through the entire book, fixing every little thing that I thought was wrong, and then 9 more days to actually put that into the computer. This third book, I've kind of taken it away from having him doing the editing responsibilities and like kind of thought of having it go on me again because he's busy and I'm busy and I have the actual manuscript and I have a little bit more time to do it. But the Create Space company, they have editors and stuff that you can hire to go through your text if you want, but it costs money. And I want it to be really cost effective and not go into debt or anything, having to use those services. Jen?
Have you ever got so tired of working on it that you fell asleep on your book?
Yeah. I'll be writing sometimes, and I'll go to bed, and I'll put music in, I'll write some, I'll keep writing, and then I'll just pass out. I'll wake up the next morning, I'm like, how much did I write last night? And then either I'm like, yeah, I wrote a lot, or oh, I wrote like 2 sentences. So, yeah, it does happen sometimes. I have to keep making the decision every day. It's like, should I write or should I go to sleep? Because sleep is important, but writing is also important. So you kind of have to make a decision of what's more. I think sleep is a little bit more important because, we get older, we need more sleep, right? Even though it doesn't happen. But you kind of have to make that kind of balance of writing and sleeping as well. Cassie?
Have you gotten any feedback on your books, like people who've read them and what they say?
I have. I'm glad I didn't include this slide. It's I've gotten a lot of negative reviews on the books. I kind of went through a little rough patch when I was a freshman, and that left some kind of bitter feelings with people. And when I published my first book as a sophomore, I think they kind of used that against me, and they had their best. I think somebody called my second book Cancer, which is kind of terrible. But with the help of my friend, he left just 5-star reviews to kind of balance it out. So now I think both of them are 3 stars each, with 2 1-stars and 2 5-stars, so it balances out. But good reviews are good.
Oh, no, I didn't have a question. Yeah, I was going to say, I've met about probably 50 authors. That's the thing I like to do, and I encourage it in schools. So I said I have a lot of author meetings. And every single author always says they had horrible reviews at the beginning.
Yep.
And they just kept going, and that's just the way it is, the learning process. So.
It is the learning process. You overcome that first. When I found that I had a 1-star review in my book, I freaked out. I panicked. I'm like, oh, this is terrible. Everybody hates me. And then as time goes on, you're like, well, you can have your own opinion, but it's kind of not the right opinion.
Yeah.
Cassie?
Have you do you think that your books are gonna go to I don't say worldwide, but a lot of people are reading your books, it's thousands of people are reading.
That's what I'm hoping. That's one of the things I've dreamed about all my life, is going having a book of mine on a bestseller list, which is really cool because with Create Space, it not only puts it on Amazon, but you can have extended services so they can go to Barnes and Noble and other bookstores. So I'm hoping that doing this and encouraging people to check them out, but be authors yourselves and just do whatever you guys do to make yourselves happy. And doing this makes me happy. So I'm hoping that I can get, by doing this and other things, I can having people reading it and loving it and just embracing what I do.
My name is Shalia, and every time someone buys your books, do you get money for it?
I do. I get 30 or 40%, which is $4. My books are $10 each on Amazon. So I get a percent of the profits. I set the price for Amazon. I can say, oh, I'll make the book. They have to set a minimum price, so I can't sell it for $1. They won't let me do that. So it has to be. I think the minimum price is $7. So I just put it at 10, and I set the price, and then Amazon, my books are always on sale for Amazon. Oh, let's put it on sale so more people can buy it. So that profit, I'm trying to remember how much I've gotten. I've gotten a good amount so far.
Good. We have to get going because we have the
Then we can run across campus. Don't run across campus. Knowing you will.
I'm me.
Too late.